Today we are reading Leviticus 14 because I'm not doing a video series for this one. The Lord said to Moses, "These are the regulations for any diseased person at the time of their ceremonial cleansing. When they are brought to the priest is to go outside the camp and examine them. If they have been healed from their defiling skin disease, the priest shall order them that 2 live, clean birds and some cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop be brought to the person to be cleansed. Then the priest shall order that 1 of the birds be killed over fresh water in a clay pot. He is to then take the live bird and dip it, together with cedar wood, the scarlet yarn, and the hyssop, into the blood of the bird that was killed over the fresh water. 7 times he sprinkled the one to be cleansed of a defiling disease, and then pronounced them clean. After that, he is to release the live bird in the open fields. The person is to be cleansed, must wash their clothes, shave off all their hair, and bathe in water. Then they will be ceremonial clean. But they must stay outside their tent for 7 days. On the 7th day they must shave off all their hair. They must shave their head, their beard, their eyebrows, and the rest of their hair. They must wash their clothes and bathe themselves in water, and they will be clean. On the 8th day they must bring 2 male lambs and 1 ewe lamb, a year-old, each without defect, along with 3/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with olive oil for a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. The priest who pronounced them clean shall present both the one to be cleansed to their offerings before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Then the priest is to take 1 of the male lambs offered as a guilt offering, along with the log of oil. He shall wave them before the Lord as a wave offering. He is to slaughter the lamb in the sanctuary area where the sin offering and the burnt offering are slaughtered. Take the sin offering, the guilt offering. The guilt offering belongs to the priest. It is most holy. The priest is to take some of the blood of the guilty offering and put it on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of the right foot. The priest shall then take some of the log oil, pour it on the palm of his own hand, dip his right forefinger into the oil of his palm, with his finger sprinkle some of it before the Lord 7 times. The priest is to put some of the oil remaining in his palm on the lobe of the right ear, with the one to be cleansed in the thumb of the right hand, on the big toe of the right foot, on top of the blood offering and guilt. What? No. Then the priest is to sacrifice a sin offering and make atonement for one to be cleansed from their uncleanliness. After that, the priest shall slaughter the burnt offering and the offering it on the altar, together with the grain offering, make atonement for them, and they will be clean. If, however, they are poor and cannot afford these, they must take 1 male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved to make atonement for them, together with 1/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with olive oil, for a grain offering, a log of oil. For grain offering, a log of oil, and 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, such as they can afford, 1 for sin offering and the other for burnt offering. On the 8th day they must bring them to their cleansing to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord. The priest is to take the lamb for the guilt offering, together with the log and oil, and wave them before the Lord as a wave offering. He shall slaughter the lamb for the guilt offering, and take some of its blood and put it on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of the right foot, and the big toe of the right foot. The priest is to pour some oil into the palm of his own hand, and then the right forefinger sprinkle some of the oil on the palm 7 times before the Lord. Some of the oil on his palm is to be put on the same place as he put the blood of the guilt offering, on the lobe of the right ear, on the to be cleansed, and the thumb of the right hand, and the big toe of the right foot. The rest of the oil is on his palm. The priest shall put on the head of the one to be cleansed to make atonement before the Lord. Then he shall sacrifice the doves or young pigeons, such as 1 person can afford, 1 as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, together with a grain offering. This is the way the priest will make atonement before the Lord on behalf of the one to be cleansed. These are the regulations for anyone who has defiled skin disease and who cannot afford the regular offerings of their cleansing. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "When you enter the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, I will put a spreading mold in the house of that land. The owner of the house must go and tell the priest, 'I have seen something that looks like defiling mold in my house.' The priest is to order the house to be emptied before he goes to examine the mold, so that nothing in the house can be pronounced unclean. After this, the priest is to go inside and inspect the house. He is to examine the mold on the walls, and if it's greenish or reddish depressions that appear deeper on the surface of the wall, the priest shall go out into the doorway of the house and close it up for 7 days. On the seventh day, the priest shall return to inspect the house. If the mold is spread on the walls, he is to order that the contaminated stones be torn out and thrown into an unclean place outside the town. He must have all the inside of the walls and house scraped of the material that's scraped off and dumped into a clean place outside the town. Then they are to take other stones and replace these to new clay and plaster in the home. If the defiling mold reappears in the house after the stones have been torn out, the house scrapped and plastered, the priest is to go examine it. If the mold is spread to the house, if it persists, it must be torn down. Its stones, timbers, and all plasters, and taken out of the town to an unclean place. Anyone who goes to the house while it is closed up will be unclean until the evening. Anyone who sleeps or eats in the house must wash their clothes. But if the priest comes to examine it and the mold has not spread after the house has been plastered, he shall pronounce the house clean, because its defiling mold is gone. To purify the house is to take 2 birds and stone cedar yard, the Scots cedar. Shall kill one of the birds over fresh water in a clay pot. He is to take the cedar wood, hyssop, scarlet yarn, and live bird, dip them into the blood of the dead bird, and then wash the fresh water. Sprinkle the house 7 times. He shall purify the house with the bird's blood, the fresh water, the live bird, the cedar wood, the hyssop, the scarlet yarn. Then he is to release the live bird in the open fields outside the town. In this way he will make atonement for the house, and it will be clean. These are the regulations for defiling skin disease, for a sore, for defiling mold or a house, and for swelling, a rash, or a shiny spot, or to determine whether something is clean or unclean. These are the regulations for defiling skin disease and defiling mold. Brutal.